Antarctica, a continent of extremes. It is the coldest, windiest, and driest place on Earth. This icy expanse holds a powerful sway over our planet's climate. Yet this frozen giant is now facing an unprecedented threat: global warming. The very ice that defines Antarctica is melting at an alarming rate. Imagine a world where coastal cities vanish beneath rising seas. Picture entire ecosystems thrown into disarray. This is not a dystopian future, but a very real possibility. The fate of Antarctica hangs in the balance. The time to act is now, before the icy heart of our planet is lost forever. Global warming, driven by human activities, is tightening its grip on Antarctica. It manifests in ocean warming and atmospheric warming. Warm currents eat away at glacier edges. Ocean warming melts ice shelves from below. The air above Antarctica is heating up. Atmospheric warming creates meltwater lakes, fracturing ice shelves. It's a double whammy on the frozen continent. The story doesn't end there. Melting ice exposes darker surfaces, absorbing more heat. This creates the ice albedo feedback loop. More ice melts, more heat is absorbed. It's like a runaway train. The implications are dire. The West Antarctic ice sheet is a ticking time bomb. If it collapses, sea levels could rise, displacing millions. The consequences of inaction are too great to ignore. The melting of Antarctica's ice has consequences that reach far beyond the frozen continent itself. It's like a chain reaction, a domino effect that ripples across the globe, impacting everything from sea levels to ocean currents to delicate ecosystems. Perhaps the most pressing concern is sea level rise. As glaciers melt and ice shelves collapse, vast quantities of water are released into the ocean, causing sea levels to rise globally. This poses an existential threat to coastal communities and low-lying islands, which could be swallowed by the encroaching sea. But the impacts don't stop there. Changes in ice melt can disrupt global ocean circulation patterns, which play a vital role in regulating Earth's climate. These currents act like giant conveyor belts, transporting heat around the planet and influencing weather patterns. Disruptions to these currents could lead to more extreme weather events such as heat waves, droughts, and floods, further exacerbating the impacts of climate change. And then there are the devastating consequences for Antarctica's unique and fragile ecosystems. Warming temperatures and melting ice are already having a profound impact on Antarctic wildlife, such as penguins, seals, and krill, the tiny crustaceans that form the base of the Antarctic food web. As their habitat shrinks and their food sources dwindle, these creatures face an uncertain future. In 2022, the world watched in disbelief as East Antarctica, typically the coldest and most stable part of the continent, experienced an unprecedented heatwave. Temperatures soared a staggering 38 degrees Celsius above normal, shattering previous records and sending shockwaves through the scientific community. This event was a stark reminder of the accelerating pace of climate change and the vulnerability of even the most remote corners of our planet. The heatwave triggered widespread surface melting, with meltwater lakes forming across the ice sheet. Scientists warned that such events could become more frequent and intense in the future, potentially leading to the irreversible collapse of ice shelves and further acceleration of sea level rise. The 2022 East Antarctic heatwave was a wake-up call, a stark illustration of the profound changes taking place in our planet's polar regions. It underscored the urgency of addressing climate change and the need for immediate and decisive action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The future of Antarctica, and indeed the planet, hangs in the balance. Section 5. A global imperative: reducing greenhouse gas emissions. The single most important step in protecting Antarctica from the ravages of global warming is to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels and transition to a clean energy future. This requires a global effort, a collective commitment to reducing greenhouse gas emissions and mitigating the impacts of climate change. International agreements, such as the Paris Agreement and the Sharm el-Sheikh Implementation Plan, provide a framework for global cooperation on climate action. These agreements set targets for reducing emissions and provide financial support to developing countries to help them transition to cleaner technologies. But government action alone is not enough. Businesses, industries, and individuals all have a role to play in reducing their carbon footprint and embracing sustainable practices. From investing in renewable energy sources to improving energy efficiency in buildings and transportation, there are countless ways to make a difference. The transition to a low-carbon economy will require significant investment and innovation, but it also presents an unprecedented opportunity to create new jobs, improve public health, and build a more sustainable and equitable future for all. Section 6. Technological innovation, a beacon of hope for Antarctica. While cutting emissions is crucial, new technology also gives us hope in saving Antarctica. Scientists and engineers worldwide are creating new technologies to help us understand, watch, and even reduce the effects of climate change on Antarctica. Tools like satellites and drones give us amazing details about ice sheets, glaciers, and sea ice. These tools help us see changes in ice, track melting water, and find weak spots with great accuracy. Other new technologies are being made to solve specific problems caused by climate change. For example, carbon capture and storage aim to catch carbon dioxide from factories and power plants and store it underground, keeping it out of the air. Although these technologies are still new, they give us hope that we can lessen the worst effects of climate change and save Antarctica for future generations. Section 7. Every action counts, the power of individual choices. In the face of a global challenge like climate change, it's easy to feel powerless, like our individual actions are insignificant. But the truth is, every choice we make, every action we take can make a difference. By making conscious decisions to reduce our environmental footprint, we can collectively contribute to a more sustainable future for Antarctica and the planet. Simple changes to our daily routines can have a big impact. We can reduce our reliance on cars by choosing to walk, cycle, or use public transport whenever possible. We can reduce our energy consumption at home by using energy-efficient appliances, turning off lights when we leave a room, and choosing renewable energy sources. Our food choices also matter. By reducing our consumption of meat and dairy products, which have a high carbon footprint, we can significantly reduce our impact on the environment. Choosing locally sourced seasonal produce is another way to support sustainable agriculture and reduce the carbon emissions associated with transporting food over long distances. And perhaps most importantly, we can use our voices to demand action from our elected officials and support businesses and organizations that are committed to sustainability. Every vote we cast, every dollar we spend is a vote for the future we want to create. Section 8. Our shared responsibility, a call to action for Antarctica. The fate of Antarctica is not a distant concern, but an urgent global crisis that demands our immediate attention. This frozen continent, once thought to be immune to the impacts of human activity, is now on the front line of climate change, a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of our planet and the profound consequences of our actions. We have a shared responsibility to protect this magnificent and vital part of our world. The time for complacency is over. The time for action is now. We must act boldly, decisively, and collectively to reduce our emissions, embrace sustainable practices, and safeguard Antarctica for future generations. Let us be inspired by the resilience of Antarctica's wildlife, the dedication of the scientists and researchers who study this extraordinary continent, and the countless individuals around the world who are demanding action on climate change. Let us work together to create a future where Antarctica continues to thrive, inspiring awe and wonder for generations to come. The challenge is great, but so too is our capacity for compassion, innovation, and collective action. Let us rise to the occasion and ensure that Antarctica, and indeed our planet, has a future worth fighting for.